Hey buddy, welcome back to the channel and to World of Warships. So in this video I thought I should talk about why I prefer the range build on the tier 10 Russian premium cruiser, the Smolensk, instead of the shorter range, higher Dakka build. And I will showcase this in some scenarios here in the start of the video, and then I will give you a full game in the end. Just look at this Bismarck. He's 18.5 kilometers away from me, behind a huge mountain, and I can engage him with no problems at all. He's just sitting there behind an island trying to camp, and I can just set some fires on him. Here's a few minutes later, he's trying to push away, he's almost 18 kilometers away from me, and I can engage him once again. Which I could never ever do if I had 16.6 kilometer range on my guns. And the thing is, I think this range build on the Smolensk just gives this already great and fun ship such a great versatility, because if you only have 16.6 kilometer range, you will limit yourself so much in so many different situations on so many different maps. But having 19.2 kilometers, I mean, greater range than the Kutuzov. I mean, look at this, Vladivostok, 19 kilometers away. I can start engaging him directly, and he will have a very hard time trying to shoot me back. I don't have to wait until he enters that 16.6 kilometer range. I can start engaging him directly when he gets spotted. So me running the shorter range build would just negate so much damage output in my games. And also, if you survive until the late game, then you will probably be out of smokes. So you will have to either find a great island to sit behind and fire spam from, or you will have to gunboat in the open. And if you gunboat in the open against tier 9, tier 10 battleships like the Kremlin or the Republic, I would much rather do that from 18 kilometer range than from, say, 15-16 kilometer range, because those AP shells hurt. But look at this. I couldn't be able to engage this Bismarck from this range either if I had 16.6 kilometer range. And here I can just spam new fires on him, putting perma fires on him, and when he goes into cover I can just select another target, because look at my circle on the minimap. I can reach out to more than half the map with my range. I mean, I'm starting to understand how carriers feel when they can pretty much attack any ship all over the map. So for me, choosing the shorter range build isn't really viable. I mean, look at this. Bismarck again, hiding behind an island 18 kilometers away. And I mean, we're talking Mount Everest here. Do I have any problems engaging him behind this huge island? No. And that's 18.1 kilometers away. I can just lob my shells over, spamming his deck, starting new fires. I mean, 3,500 salvo and a fire from 18 kilometers. So, yeah. I mean, it's up to you, but I think this is actually one of the more fun aspects of this ship. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great, powerful ship, but one of the things that I think is actually the most fun about this ship is how different you can choose to build this ship. Usually it's only one fixed captain skill build or module build for every ship in the game, and if you don't choose that special build for your captain or for your ship, you're pretty much an idiot. But in this ship you can actually change up so many things. I mean, in your captain build you can use demolition expert, BFT, superintendent, survivability expert, and at tier 4, I mean, you can choose to go concealment, which I don't think really anyone is choosing. But you can choose AFT. I mean, you can choose so many things to change up this ship and pretty much making it a completely different ship. And module wise, you can go with range module, reload module, you can have the anti-air module. So while I'm blapping away at this poor Vladivostok, I thought I'd showcase my build for this ship right now. And it's a pretty standard setup. I run premium on all consumables, which you really should, playing a tier 10 premium ship. So I have damage con and repair party and defensive AA and also smoke. And I choose defensive AA instead of hydroacoustic surge because, of course, having the range build, I will be pretty far away from destroyers, but I will get targeted by carriers. And looking at my upgrades, I have main armament, duration on my defensive AA module. I have speed module for getting in and out of smokes faster, concealment, and range module instead of reload. Flags, it's pretty much up to you, but of course anything buffing your fire chance or nerfing the fires on your ship, also buffing the heal is a great choice. Otherwise, it's all pretty optional. And last but not least, the captain build. And here you can see I've gone with priority targets. It's really important to know how many enemy ships are targeting you when you are spotted for your survivability. Also, adrenaline rush, of course. It just makes this ship even more overpowered. Last stand is actually quite viable because your rudder or engine gets shot down pretty often since you are a paper armor cruiser. Then I went with the BFT actually to try and counter the effect because I chose the range module over the reload module. So of course getting that reload speed down a bit is always great. Superintendent for extra heal, extra smoke, it's a no-brainer pretty much. And then, of course, I have chosen not to go with concealment expert because I really don't feel like it's important on this cruiser. I mean, the difference between 10 kilometer detection or 11.2 kilometer detection isn't really that big of a deal, especially since I am running the range build, so I'm not really pushing into a cap with a DD anyways. So I gone with AFT for that extra range and of course extra effect on your defensive AA. And of course lastly IFHE, which is pretty viable skill, I must say. As I said before, I actually tried out so many different builds on both ship and captain on this ship. And I tried to make this ship work with the demolition expert instead of IFHE. but since you're missing out on so much of that alpha damage, you can't really compare the damage output in those games. So nerfing an IFHE will definitely affect the damage output on this ship, I think. But let's jump into the game. So it's a tier 10 game, and it's 4 cap domination game. So I will of course try to use the terrain as much as possible in the start of the game, which I always do playing the Smolensk. You really need to try and preserve those 3 smokes for as long as possible, because you will usually always need them in the late game. Now I saw this Des Moines pushing, it looks like he will position himself by that island directly west of the D cap, so he will be able to radar both C and D. So I thought I actually positioned myself behind this smaller island right in front of us. So if he's able to radar or spot an enemy destroyer, we both should be able to take him down pretty fast. And as you can see in the lineup, we have 1 destroyer per side and 1 carrier per side. And as you can see, the both Kremlin behind me are pushing for that special little battleship lane down at the 10 line. That shit never gets old. So a Kremlin gets spotted, but unfortunately the island is in my way, so I can't really lob my shells over. So here I'm just trying to slow down a bit, reverse, so I will get my guns on target on this Kremlin. Meanwhile, I'm lobbing some shells downrange towards this enemy Yu Yang, who is having a really tough day, it looks like, in the C cap. Now I see 2 enemy battleships are pushing into my range, and this is once again the reason why I choose to go with the range build instead of the full Dakka build, because I will be able to engage battleships at 19 kilometer range. First I will start with this enemy Kremlin, who is behind this island, and he's not gonna have a fun game, I can tell you that. So that's my first fire, and I'm still undetected, which tells me there is probably not a destroyer at this cap. And of course I know this because the only destroyer on the enemy team was spotted in the C cap. So they can't really see me where I sit right now, because there's a Minotaur on the 9 line who can't really spot me. The Yamato can't really spot me because he's camping behind an island, and so is the Salem. So my second fire, which I think is a perma-fire, if I'm not wrong. It's hard to tell. But as you can see, this guy can't really do much. I mean, he could continue trying to reverse, but it would take him half the game to pretty much reverse out of my range. So he's doing the only thing he can pretty much do, which is try to hide behind this island. The problem is I have so lofty shell arcs on these shells, so I can pretty much lob them over any island, as you saw in the different situations in the start of this game. And I know there's a lot of players, especially battleship players, that will probably hate me watching this video. And the only thing I can say is, don't hate the player, hate the game. I mean, it wasn't my decision to put this ship into the game, it was wargaming. So as long as it is in the game, I will showcase my impressions of this ship. But of course I understand that being in this situation like this Kremlin player is not a fun thing to be. You can always argue that maybe he shouldn't have pushed up the way he did, especially since both the cruisers were pretty much hiding and couldn't spot anything for him. At the same time, I'm not really sure why our Kremlin just decides to commit suicide, pushing in between Salem, Kremlin and Yamato. He could pretty much have just sat here on this side and stayed alive, but yeah. So that is pretty much 100,000 damage I have taken out of this Kremlin alone. I'm setting my 9th fire on him. And I get my first kill, 107,000 damage done, and my arsonist. So I switch targets to this enemy Yamato instead. And he can't really stay in this area because he's getting pushed by a Kremlin as well. And of course he probably saw what happened to this Kremlin on his team, so he's choosing the smart thing, and that is to get the hell out of Dodge, pretty much. Now, of course, as I said before, me having this range build on my Smolensk makes it possible for me to just continue to harass this enemy Yamato, helping out the friendly Kremlin in his duel by setting this guy on fire. So here I'm just pushing forward one step because I don't want to get blapped, of course, by Yamato, so I will use the terrain as much as possible. And as you can see, I still have 3 smoke screens left. So I haven't touched my smoke screens yet, and I'm up to, well, 130,000 damage done. And the seconds I have been detected in this game, even with a 19.2 kilometer range build, has been very few moments, a couple of seconds pretty much. It looks like the Yamato will end our Kremlin, so I'm just trying to get some damage in as quickly as possible, because I don't know if he will go dark, and it looks like that is the case actually. Now I thought that Yamato should probably try and kite away and bail and heal up, so it shouldn't really be an issue for me to push in and secure the decap. We have quite a big advantage. 2 ships and a couple of hundred pickets, but you never know how long that will last. I was quite surprised that the Yamato actually is turning in, closing the distance to where he knows that I was spamming fires on him from. So I changed my plan. I don't push into the cap because I don't want to smoke up so close to a Yamato. Instead, I'm starting to kite away, dropping my torps and dropping my first smoke. And of course, he being focused by our carrier as well makes his day really bad. And I got the Wither to accompany my arsonists. The Yamato goes dark, so I start to spam this enemy curve first instead. I will have one eye on the minimap, so as soon as the Yamato gets spotted again, I will switch over and focus him again, because he's the biggest threat to me. I also have an enemy Hindenburg pushing towards me, and of course he has the ability to Hydra me if he comes within 6 kilometers, which would be really bad for me. But as long as the Yamato isn't spotted, I will just continue to harass this curve first. And it looks like he repaired my fires, so if I could set another fire, it would be a perma one. But now the enemy Yamato gets spotted once again. He blind fires me in the smoke, and I'm pretty fortunate that I don't get blapped at this range. I will soon enter, or he will soon enter my detectability from firing in smoke, which is 5.9. So I actually take the risk of going outside my smoke and trying to continue to harass him while kiting. He gets a good salvo into me, but I'm able to heal back some of it. My torps also look pretty good, and I think I have at least 2 fires on him, so this guy is a goner. So now I can just continue to spam fires on the other battleships because I have this great range. Once again, something I couldn't have done if I had chosen the shorter range build. But here I can pretty much park behind this island for I think the 3rd time and just continue to harass these 2 battleships. And as you can see, 16 fires, 2 kills, Wither, Arsonist, 166,000 damage. I mean, of course it's possible to get these kind of damage with shorter range, full Dakka build, so to speak. But you would need to take so much more risks in doing that, because you will need to be so much closer. Here I'm using my second smoke, because I used the terrain so much in the start of the game. I still have 1 smoke after this one. I think it's the Yamato that manages to blap me quite hard in my smoke. But I survive and I can heal back some of it again. And now I just can continue to rain down damage on both these ships. So I'm really interested to know what you think about the different builds on the Smolensk, and also which build you're using and what you experience from that build, so to speak. So leave a comment down below on the video, because as I said, I tried so many different builds. I'm not really 100% certain that this will be my absolute final build. Maybe I will fine-tune it some more to find that full beast mode build, but so long I'm pretty content with this one. So I secure my third and fourth kill actually. I finished the game with a double strike, which is always nice. So I got both the Yamato and the Kerr first in one blow, earning me 206,000 damage done, 18 fires, over 500,000 credits. So overall a pretty good game. I actually got beaten by one of the Kremlin. I must say, he must have played a pretty good game. Also, this Minotaur, really good game, so I have to compliment him as well. This Yamato also, it did what it could, but yeah. So as you can see, 106,000 damage done on the Kremlin. So I wanna thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Please leave a like and a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more amazing gameplays. Until next time guys, have a good one. Bye bye.